the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
12-team playoff contender going into next year.
I like it. Why or why not? This one might raise some eyebrows. Kentucky are a dark horse contender to make the CFP in 2024 for you, Matt Green.
Why Kentucky is because I think they have a veteran team, and maybe Vandagriff, he is a former 5-star, comes in and like is a baller. But I can't give you too many reasons to be confident about Kentucky. Like, I think with some of the transfers they've gotten, like their floor is higher. So I think as a Kentucky fan, you can reasonably expect an 8-win season or so. But I don't see this team winning anything, of value. Like, unless Vandagriff somehow becomes a star. Like, Ray Davis was basically their offense last year. So, we've seen Kentucky be able to replace running backs and still kind of maintain their identity of running the football. But, it's going to be tough to replace a guy like that who was first team All SEC. So I look at their road schedule. Only Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State has clearly the toughest road schedule in the SEC next year. But Kentucky, I think, is a close second. They go at Florida, at Ole Miss, at Tennessee, and at Texas. Like, that's just brutal. And on top of having Georgia and Auburn and South Carolina at home, like, the schedule is doing Kentucky no favors next year.
Can I flip that, though?
Yeah.
I think the schedule actually helps them in that regard, because what you just laid out, those are tough. Like, they're gonna be dogs in all four of those.
Yeah,
actually,
beat these teams.
I don't think they'll be dogs actually against Florida, but we'll see. They've had a lot of success against Florida of late, so I don't know. I would not be as worried about Florida if I'm a Kentucky fan right now.
But that's the easiest of the SEC road games. Like, right. Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas could be 3 of the 4 best teams in the SEC next year.
But that's my point. You kind of want those to be on the road, because then you want the toss-up games at home. The road games, you were going to lose to Tennessee anyway.
You also have Georgia at home, so
Georgia hurts. Like, that's the one where, like, Georgia, you would rather get that on the road, and probably you would rather get Ole Miss or Texas at home and see what you could do. But getting South Carolina at home, getting Auburn at home, I think is sneaky important. Getting Louisville at home this year is sneaky important. But you look at the early schedule. I mean, this is what they do really well. They get off to these great starts. But they get Southern Miss at home, South Carolina, Georgia early. This is like the earliest they played Georgia in a long time, right?
Yeah, I can't ever remember playing Kentucky in September.
But look, Vandy, like they're going to be at 8-4-ish. And then if Brock Vandagriff, because like you said, we don't know what Brock Vandagriff's going to be. Matt Green, former 5-star, he could be electric. You have Liam Cohen back year 2 here. You bring in your elite offensive line coach who left for Alabama a couple years ago. Alabama's staff falls apart. Guess what? He's back. So you get a win there. I think the offensive line will be better. They have talent at the receiver spot. We know they're going to be good defense. You get James Dumas-Johnson over there and the linebacker unit. I think they'll be solid on defense. Kentucky can flirt with 9-3 next year. And 9-3, like we said, it's not a guarantee, but I do think they're a dark horse, and a lot of it will come down to some of those 50-50 games. But also, what's Brock? We don't know what Brock is. Brock could be a very high, like the most talented Kentucky quarterback we've seen in a long time. Like, he has that upside. We have no idea what to make of him yet, but we've seen good quarterback play at Kentucky in the past. We've seen Liam Cohen do a good job, and we know Kentucky's defense is going to be pretty solid, and Mark Stoops has a high floor there. So I don't know. I think Kentucky, I wouldn't bet on it, but I do think they will be in play late in the year.
I definitely wouldn't bet on it. Vandagriff is definitely that X factor, especially because he's a legit dual threat. So I mean, when a quarterback can run and that be part of the offense, we've seen how teams can just be tough to stop. So like you said, I wouldn't bet on it, but I think you could reasonably expect this team to go no worse than 8-4.
Yeah, I could see it. They did went 7-5 this year, and it was a rough season for Kentucky, and they still went 7-5. Why or why not the Florida Gators? You know what's funny for me, Matt Green? On my list here of our 7 SEC schools who will be dark horses, I think Florida is the hardest for me to make the case for. Was it for you?
Yeah, when trying to figure out the reasons why Florida would be a contender in the SEC and for the college football playoff, I stopped short of like a meteor or something like exploding the rest of the SEC or something. I don't know. Florida has
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.